Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining. Today we'll be singing a very special Vaishnava bhajan. This is the Keval Ashtakam by Srila Neelakanta Goswami. Maybe if I turn it from over here, it might be easier to turn. Let me share my screen. Oh, my thing is. Can everybody see this?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes,
Right.
Prabhu.
So this is Keval Ashtakam. By the book name is Pancharatnam, and the language is Sanskrit. So this actually is not a traditional Ashtakam. This is actually a stava that a couple verses have been picked out. Stava. This is 100. Stava is 100 verses. Ashtakam is 8 verses. So out of 100 verses, these 8 verses make up the Keval Ashtakam. They're in different parts of the whole stava. And I think Neelakanta Goswami wrote 5 stavas, and that makes up the Pancharatnam. So I think somewhere around 500 verses. So quite a significant. Actually, the author was not known until recently, until a recent Dandavats article where this actually came up in this song actually was submitted by Neelakanta Goswami to the Sajjana Toshani, which was started by Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati and it's commented that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada really enjoyed it, really appreciated his composition. So it has a very nectarian verses about the holy name. Any and all of them should be memorized. So we can sing it today. Hare Krishna. Diyatam diyatam karno niyatam niyatam vacha diyatam diyatam nityam harinamaiva kevalam diyatam diyatam karno niyatam niyatam Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we'll read the translations of the song, this wonderful Kevala Ashtakam, and then maybe we can discuss for maybe a couple minutes. Number 1, more sweet than all other sweet things, more auspicious than all other auspicious things, the greatest purifier of all purifying things, the holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Anybody want to read number 2?
The entire universe, from exalted Brahma down to the lowly clump of grass, is a product of the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. The only thing that is reality, reality again, I say reality, the holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything.
That person is a true preceptor, or a true father, a true mother, and a true friend, also only if they teach one to always remember the holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Number 4, anyone?
There is
There is.
no
Please go ahead, Prabhu.
there is no certainty when the last birth will come and put an abrupt halt to all one's material plans. Therefore, it is wise to always practice chanting from very childhood. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything.
5, anyone?
Lord Hari eternally dwells in that place where truly exalted, spiritually advanced souls sing in the mood of pure devotion. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything.
Jai. Number 6, anyone?
Aho, what a sorrow! What a great sorrow! More painful than any other misery in the world. Mistaking it as a mere piece of glass, the people have forgotten this jewel. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything.
I chose this picture. If you forget the holy name, Krishna will come and punch you through his internal to his external energy as Maya Devi. But that is Krishna killing Kamsa, so you'll be punched by his external energy. Number 7, anyone?
It should be heard again and again with one's ears. It should be uttered over and over with one's voice. It should be perpetually sung and sung anew. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything.
Jai. Number 8, any volunteers? It makes the entire universe seem insignificant as a blade of grass. It reigns supreme over all in a splendorous manner. It is full of eternally conscious divine ecstasy. It is supremely pure. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Does anybody have any thoughts, reflections, questions, comments, disturbances about this song? Maybe we can take 2
I
minutes.
feel, I feel this is one of the best prayers, best bhajans to the holy name in our sampradaya. At least for me, I felt it is basically the entire substance of Krishna conscious philosophy is comprised in this bhajan. It's so wonderful from the first till the last verse. Everything is surrounding around the holy name. Simple. Nothing.
Prabhu, who is the author?
This author was for a long time not known, Prabhu.
Oh, okay.
But recently it came to be known that the author was Neelakanta Goswami,
Okay.
and he submitted this to the Sajjana Toshani started by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati really had this in high regard. So that's how this came to be. This is actually part of a larger I was mentioning in the beginning that this Keval Ashtakam, it's not really an Ashtakam, it's actually a stava. It's actually 100 verses. But that's why in each of the translations they have the 99 and 89. They just chose a couple of these verses from the stava and made it into the Keval Ashtakam. And then he wrote 5 stavas like this. So that makes the Pancharatra, which is the Pancharatnam, which is what he wrote, as we can see here.
Oh,
yeah. Anybody else have any other thoughts, questions? I was just thinking, I liked which one? I really liked I really like all of them. They're actually yeah, if I wanted to choose one that's my favorite, it's just impossible, because every one has a different it has a prayer to the holy name, what my position is. It has a tinge of humility. It has instructions on what to do to do with the holy name, you know. So it shows how powerful it is, and it shows the real what do you say, nam tattva, the truth about the holy name of Sri Hari, you know. And then in each line, you know, if that's not enough for you, if you're still not convinced, Nilakanta Goswami is saying, you know, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. There is nothing more, you know, because I was just thinking this, I was just hearing, I think it was Pavan Nitai Chandra Prabhu giving the Bhagavatam class on ISKCON Vrindaban. And he was saying, you know, that why, if the holy name is everything, if the holy name is everything that we're supposed to know, you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give Nam Sankirtan, Sarva Papa Pranashanam, you know, he's giving all that. Why do we have temples? Why do we have deity worship? Why do we have prasadam? Why do we have all these other Tulsi worship? Why do we have all Mangalarti, you know? Why do we have all of that? Why can't we all just stay at home and just chant Hare Krishna, you know? One example, there's many answers to this question, but the essential is that we don't have enough taste in the holy name. We don't have enough taste as sadhakas, so the spiritual master sees that expertly, that okay, not everybody can just sit in one place and chant Hare Krishna. So better to be engaged in Krishna's service in multiple ways, as immediately Rupa Goswami gives in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Pancha Anga Bhakti, you know, Bhagavad Shravan, Nam Kirtan, Mathura Vas, Srimurti Seva, and then Sadhu Sangha. You know, these 5 things are there. And then even a little bit more, he gives 64 devotional things that you can dive into, like arts and crafts and all these, and they can be dovetailed. But Pavan Nitai Prabhu was saying that everything is completely useless if it is not serving the eternal principle of you chanting the holy name, because that is actually the Yuga Dharma, you know, deity worship, and everything else is not really that it's important in the sense that it's helping us because of our conditioning. It helps us connect with something towards Krishna, but that connection towards Krishna is meant to be subservient to the holy name of Krishna. So that's what I was thinking about that when I was singing this song. You know, what does it really mean? The holy name of Krishna is everything, you know. So it's literal, but it also has an explanation to it. Does anybody else have any other thoughts on this?
Actually, even Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, right, Prabhu, like he says, on this 3 world, there is nothing other than the holy name.
Other than that, yeah.
Something similar to that, maybe.
Yes, nothing other than the holy names in the 13 worlds, you know, something
13
like
worlds, something like that.
Yeah. So he makes his statement even more strongly, you know.
Yeah.
But great. I'm proud of us for singing this song and finding this song, and maybe we can one day we can actually understand this song. But it's now 8:10. Wow, it got quite excessive.
No, Prabhu, this is more ecstatic. Wish we could have continued.
We'll pause our study of the songs of the Vaishnavacharyas for this week, and now we have we'll start our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam for this week. And the speaker for this week is His Grace Kartika Chandra Prabhu. He needs no introduction. He's a familiar face at our
introduction, Prabhu. You can right away go to the class.
A familiar face in our ISKCON Columbus temple, and he first joined in Cincinnati, yes, Prabhu, in Cincinnati through the Bhakti Yoga Club, and you know
His Grace Nayana Biram Prabhuji and
Nayana Biram Prabhu. Yeah, now he lives in Florida, right? Yeah, he's staying in Florida, so he joined through there, and then him and his wife Chintamani Mataji, they've been serving the Cincinnati congregation for a while, and then they made the transcendental shift up to Columbus, and we got their divine association there, and then they and another devotee decided to give their association, His Grace Bhanu Prabhu. Bhanu Prabhu also gave his association to us.
It's all other way around, Prabhu. we took all the blessings from all the Vaishnavas there. So thank you.
That's their little child, if anybody needs context. And then they made another transcendental shift to New Vrindaban to serve their spiritual master, His Holiness Varshana Maharaj, who is a direct disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhu has served in our Bhagavatam class maybe last year while we were still in person, but I've been itching and dying for Prabhu to serve again. So we're really happy. Prabhu will be speaking on verses Canto 1, Chapter 6, text 10 through 19. So Prabhu will be speaking on that for maybe 45 minutes to 1 hour, and then we will have question and answer. So Kartik Chandra Prabhu, you can take over. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the opportunity. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Time is the most precious, and I really appreciate you giving that for the class today. I hope by the blessings of Vaishnavas, could share something what I read and heard. Thank you, Prabhuji, again for the opportunity. So let's start with Jai Radha Mata. Jai Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravana Jai Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jayo Radha Natbar Shri Radhe Jai Radha Vrindavan Chandra Radha Vrindavan Chandra Shri Radhe Jai Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Jayo Prabhupada Prabhupada Jayo Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Jai Gurudeva 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 Jai Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Gurudev 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 Prabhupada 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 Gurudev 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 Gurudev. Okay, so before we start, let's say some prayers. Maybe we'll read the first verse of Canto 1, Chapter 6, verse 10, between 10 and 20. So we'll just read the 10th verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Vede Ramayane Chaiva Purane Bharate Tata Tavante Cha Madhye Cha Hari Sarvatra Giyate Mukkam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Paramanandam Madhavam Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So let me, for the verse recitation, let me take Canto 1, Chapter 6, text 10. Tada tadaham isaya bhaktanam sam abhipastataha anugraham manyamanaha pratishtam disham uttaram tada tadaham ishasya Bhaktanam sam abhipsataha anugraham manyamanaha pratishtam disam uttaram tada tad aham ishasya bhaktanam sam abhipastaha abhipsataha anugraham manyamanaha pratishtam disam uttaram. So word for word, tada, at that time, that aham, I, isasya, of the Lord, bhaktanam, of the devotees, some, mercy, abhipsataha, desiring, anugraham, special benediction, manyamanaha, thinking in that way, pratishtam, departed, disam uttaram, in the northern direction. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I took this as a special mercy of the Lord, who always desires benediction for his devotees. And so thinking, I started for the north. Purport: confidential devotees of the Lord see in every step a benediction, a benedictory direction of the Lord. What is considered to be an odd or difficult moment in the mundane sense is accepted as special mercy of the Lord. Mundane prosperity is a kind of material fever, and by the grace of the Lord, the temperature of this material fever is gradually diminished, and spiritual health is obtained step by step. Mundane people misunderstand it. Om Agyana Timirandasya Nyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Unmilitamena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagatamayam Tatanti Swapatantikam. Vandegam Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sagagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sagitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagagan Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitam Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so before we go into the Canto 6, so Canto 1, Chapter 6 and verse 10, let's just have a little bit of brief recap, and then we'll go into that so that we'll get some flow of thoughts and what happened previously. You can have a small recap. As I said, I don't have much knowledge or realization, so I just took this opportunity so that it'll be an impetus to touch Bhagavatam and thereby, get purified. So anything positive comes, it's all from Prabhupada's purports and lectures. All glories to him, and anything is not according to the standard, maybe it's from my incapacity. So kindly forgive me before we start. Okay, so let's start. So here in the previous chapters, what we saw is that Vyasadeva was editing all the Vedas so that even a common man can, normal layman can kind of understand what is the goal of life, and he can achieve the goal of life instead of getting diverted. And he also wrote, Mahabharata. It's a very big epic, and he compiled that so that women, laborer class, and friends of Brahmanas, all those people, everyone can have access to the knowledge of the Vedas in a very lucid way, so that they can understand sort of all those, maybe the complex grammatical, which I'm not aware fully, but I hope it is complex. So that's why he's trying to simplify it. So but having done that, that means, I think Mahabharata is like thousands of verses, and all those big literary work he undertook. But even at the end of this, and also all the compiling all the four Vedas, it's not a simple thing. Since he's an literary incarnation, he has the empowered potency to do that. So once he is done with it, still his heart there seems like it's not fully satisfied, and then it seems to be something is left out, and some kind of dissatisfaction was lingering in his heart. That's what we saw in chapter, in the chapter 4 of the first canto. And then in chapter 5, what happened is that while he was desponding, and while he was thinking on that, and he was kind of feeling little morose within himself, his guru, Narada Muni, appears there, and then Narada Muni also, kind of gives more insight to him. When Narada Muni appears, Vedavyas, actually he receives him, and then he kind of inquires from him. As we know, spiritual matters, especially transcendental knowledge, has to be kind of, it should be in a kind of we need to inquire from the people who are already self-realized, and especially to the spiritual masters. So following the etiquette, our Vedavyas actually inquires from Narada Muni. So why I'm having this despondency? Why I'm having this dissatisfaction? I thought that I did most of the welfare work for all the people, but still it is not satisfying. Then Vedavyas, then Narada Muni says that yes, you did everything very nicely, but still there are some things little bit is or some points are missing. Mainly, actually, you have not actually described the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You might have said it, but maybe in an indirect way, but not, emphasis was not given on that. And since that is missing, maybe you can try to rectify it by writing some literature which will have full of glorification of the Lord's name, pastimes of the Lord. Like that, you can glorify. We can, if you have a literature which is glorifying the Lord's name, pastimes, then it might give you more satisfaction. So that's the answer what Vyasadeva gives. And then while this conversation is happening, Narada Muni, he's actually explaining how he became a devotee, and he was explaining, he was actually able to remember his previous life, and he was actually saying his own life history, like how where he was born, and then how he came into touch with the transcendental knowledge. And he was explaining his whole process, what happened to him, how we became like, we now have, how we became a devotee. So the same way Narada Muni was explaining like how he came into, a devotional service. So he was explaining that he was previous life, he was a son of a maid servant, and he was having a very simple life. And his mother was a maid servant, so she really wanted to give him a very nice what to say, facilities, but still she couldn't do it because she's just a maid servant. He couldn't earn more maybe. And at that point, by fortune, she was serving some sadhus, Vedantis, who were supposed to stay at one place during the Chaturmasya. So during that time, Narada Muni, who is just 5 years old, got a very nice opportunity along with his mother to serve those Vedantists. And Narada Muni actually took, even knowingly, unknowingly, he took that devotion, he took that service to heart, and then he served them very nicely, very obediently. It was said in some of the verses that he was actually sincerely serving them. He was not speaking too much. He was controlling his speech like that. He was, even though he was 5-year-old, but still he had that kind of. He was not mischievous like normally kids are at that age are very mischievous, but he was somehow maybe by the aura of the sages or something, but he was very calm and poised, and he was absorbed in the service. And that really pleased the Vedantis, and the Vedantis actually they gave profusely, they blessed him. And as we see in Bhagavad Gita also, only by the mercy of the spiritual master, we get the all the imports of the Vedas. By the mercy of the Guru and Krishna, implicit faith in Guru and Krishna, only all the purports of the Vedas have been automatically revealed to someone. So by this service which Narada Muni got, he was able to get the blessings from them, and then through the blessings also comes the instruction. So then they also instructed Narada Muni, said that instructed Narada Muni on the confidential matters of devotional service, and Narada Muni absorbed them totally. And then this actually is a turning point in his life. And at the end of this chapter, at the end of this instruction of Narada Muni to Vyasadeva, so Narada Muni also says that to Vyasadeva that we should previously he was saying that he was not explaining the glories, so he should explain the glories, but I'm just giving chapter by chapter. So he was explaining to that point, and then the sages were leaving, and at the end he was saying to Vyasadeva that he should continue the glories of the Lords in some kind of literary form which will satisfy him. And at that point the chapter ends, and now we are in the chapter 6. At that point, Vyasadeva, having heard Narada Muni's life partially, previous life partially in the previous chapter, he was just continuing the conversation, and Vyasadeva is asking Narada Muni again, saying that, okay, so you said that you met sages and you served them nicely, and you got the blessings and also got the instructions. That means he got kind of initiated by those great sages. So what happened to those great sages after that? What happened? Can you explain? Because you want to know, since now he's a sage, that means he has perfected the life, and he's now in a spiritual body. So that means in the previous life, Vedavyas was really inquisitive to know how he perfected his life. Narada Muni, how did you do that? Can you explain me what happened when after the sages instructed you and gave you initiation and then they left off? So what did you do? So that is the beginning of this chapter. Hopefully that was discussed last week also, but I just want to wrap up. So then at this point, when Vedavyas was asking this question, so Narada Muni was saying that after that the great sages departed into their own directions, and then and he said that but immediately after getting those instructions and the blessings from the sages, he found a tangible change in his life. So what is the tangible change? His heart, his heart has been more conducive and fertile for the devotional service to grow. So this is kind of like, we can say, an after effect of initiations. So this is, since Narada Muni also got initiated by those sages, so Narada Muni is saying that I found a tangible change in my life, and it is an important. Prabhupada says in the purport that it is an important symptom after initiation. And Prabhupada also says that the actual association of devotees brings a very quick change. So it says sadhu sangha sarva satrakaya lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhihaya. So that means, like, even a moment's association of these senior Vaishnavas brings a tremendous change in our attitude and consciousness. So when you say association, our Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, and I have heard many and couple of times at least, he was describing what is an association. Is that association means that you are in proximity to someone, you are very always in the same place or in the same house or same ashram. Is that means association? So Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says that association means by associating with someone, if your desire changes, if your desires get move from one direction to the other direction, either it is material direction or spiritual direction, that is the association. In case of sadhus, our desire should move from the material hankerings and material things to slowly to spiritual things. That means if that moving happens, the desire changes, then only it is association. Otherwise, if you are with amidst devotees, we are there, we coming week after week, day after day. But still, if you are not changing, you're not seeing the change in the heart, if the desire doesn't change, that means we are actually not associating. So we need to introspect into ourselves. So why it is happening? Maybe due to offenses, maybe we are not serious into taking the real. Not taking serious their presence, into asking right questions to them, or dealing with them in the right way so that they can enlighten us. So all these things, factors come into picture. So association is a very, very, very key thing. And another point in this discussion is that, as we talked about initiation, our Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also says that when you are when the iron rod is hot, we have to strike. So that means when you get the mercy, you should actually utilize it to the fullest extent, and you need to push forward and hard into the direction so that your life may be perfect. No, we are in this material sojourn for millions and millions of lifetimes, and by some costless mercy, so we get to come across devotees, come across spiritual master. So we should take this process seriously, this mercy given to us seriously, so that we can make this lifetime as the final lifetime. We don't want to take this business again, and go through all these difficult things. So I'm just saying to myself, but I just wanted to share this point, which I heard. So same thing Narada Muni was saying, he was having these changes in his heart, and this association of the devotees really changed his heart. And after that, he says that he was just 5 years old when the sages, he was serving the sages, and the sages left after maybe Chaturmasi, and I think one more month also, one more month they were there also. So like this, he was serving them, and then after that they left. And he was also saying that I'm just 5 years old, and but still I got was able to serve them, and I didn't really know much of the outer world. That's what he was saying in one of the verses. I had not known different lands. That means he has just been in the same place maybe, and just serve his mother and the sadhu. So he was a very, very naive boy, maybe you can say that way. Then after that, something unexpected happened. So Narada Muni was explaining further that, and after that, when he was meditating on those messages by the sages, and his life was going on, and suddenly one day his mother was going out to milk. In the villages, they sometimes they milk, and due to the timings, it might be night time also. Sometimes they might need to do it, and in villages there is possibility of a lot of animals also roam. So it happened that his mother was bitten by a snake and she passed away. And Narada Muni was saying that it was actually he was saying that this incident was actually God's calling. It's something like it is like dragging a sincere soul near to God. It is God's direction. Actually, he was not thinking that it is something bad happened, and he was not actually lamenting on that. So this is a very important point in devotional practice. A sadhaka, a practicing bhakta, having taken shelter of the Lord, and his devotees, a bhakta knows that whether something good happens, whether something bad happens, he is actually always under the control of the loving, protection of the Lord. If you see in Prahlad's case, his own father was trying to kill him, by pushing him from the hill, putting him into the chamber of snakes, into the fire. But still, Lord protected in every instance. So a devotee always, he knows that I am always under the protection of the Lord. So this only comes when you get that transcendental knowledge. When those sadhus enlightened Narada Muni, he became really got fixed into those instructions, and that gave him the faith that okay, there is someone called superior Lord, and he is the controller of everything, and I am not the controller, and he has done this. Okay, what to do? There is something higher, and I really accept it. So even if you see in Prabhupada's case, Prabhupada is very successful. He was very scholarly also, and also he has materially also he has a very nice business going on, and he wanted to actually improve those business and make it as a very big enterprise, so that he can give all those profits to Krishna consciousness, to propagating Krishna consciousness and making Krishna consciousness spread all over the world as his Guru Maharaj desired. But what happened is that totally the other way happened. His business started failing, his family was not cooperating, and at that one point there is he felt everything has been taken away, and he has just been left just with the protection of the Lord. Only Lord was the only solace for him. So Prabhupada many times quotes this verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:88. Yasyaham anugrahnami harishyet tad dhanam tanam janai tat tato dhanam tejanti asya swajana dukkha dukkitam. The personality Godhead had said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another. So it's like, sequence of events Krishna brings into our life. We were really attached to our, our family maybe, or to our career, or to our beauty maybe for someone. So we all have a lot of attachments, and the conditioning varies from person to person. I might be attached to something, and someone may be attached to something else. So, but the point is, Krishna brings things in our life and creates the circumstances in such a way that our attachment are being cut, but slowly, but it will be eventually it will be cut. So I think that's what is happening with Narada Muni, and Narada Muni also being understood and got this knowledge from the sadhus. He also understood, okay, that is what is happening. That is a sign of maturity. And another way also devotees think is, we always think, whatever is happening is my previous karma, right? That's a normal word we use in devotee circle, right? So there is one verse in Bhagavatam says, Tattenu kampam shushmikshamano bunjane evatma kritam vipagam. Right? So, my dear Lord, this whatever I have done, whatever is happening to me is just because of my previous karma. So let me just patiently bear all those karma and get rid of them. and but I will still wait for your mercy. I know whatever you're giving me is for my purification and for my for my good will, for my good thing only. You're giving all these problems, so let me bear all these things very patiently, and also at the same time look forward for your helping hand. And Bhagavatam says a person who is in this state of consciousness, he has it is the liberation is his birthright. So by these verses, we can see that this is the mood what Narada Muni is also. So he's kind of advanced in his devotional service. And then he says that Narada Muni says that once after this thing happened, he's not despondent. He's not looking for here and there for help, not asking for his uncle or aunt to see, can you help me, like that. But he was, since he has got this knowledge and a goal in life, that this body, I'm not this body, I'm the spirit soul, and the goal of my human life is to reach God and to reach God's abode and to be a servant of the Lord and his devotees. So a person who is in Krishna consciousness, who got this transcendental knowledge, his whole paradigm shift happens within his consciousness. He no longer starts hankering for all the material things, because he knows that at the end of this body everything will be taken away from me. And he knows then why I should work day and night hard for this thing, which will anyway go. And furthermore, the more important problem is you need to again start from the beginning, and you have to go through all the problems again. So why I should go through that, right? So he knows that transcendentalists know that this is not my goal in life. So I'm just again saying this again to me, because I always have all these conditionings. So by hearing Bhagavatam and also by sharing, I think at least will make me more rooted on this. Even though we say this, still it becomes Maya. It covers us because we are not that steady. At least I'm not that steady. So this is a very nice contemplation to do. So when we have this consciousness, then whatever thing might come into in our life, whatever distress or things come into life, we will be able to handle it in a more cool-headed way. Prabhupada says we should have a cool head. So by the scriptural knowledge you might have, get to this. Okay, so this is what the thought process going on in Narada Muni's head at the time, and then he just started moving into the started moving out of his house into the northern direction, and he was searching after the Lord, and he was searching for more and more advancement in his spiritual life. So he says that after my mother's departure, he then passed through many flourishing metropolises, towns, villages, animal farms, mines, agricultural lands, valleys, flower gardens, nursery gardens, all those beautiful things which we see on the way, or inside a city, or all these things. So Prabhupada in the purport writes that a person who has a spiritual impetus, who knows what is the value of life, who knows that I have to utilize this human form of life for the highest purpose. If I don't utilize the human form for the highest purpose, then actually I'm wasting this human form. So I'm actually equal to a miser. So what does a miser do? A miser, he has a lot of money, but he does not use it even for the basic things. That's why he's called a miser, right? So in the same way, we have this human body. That means we have this greatest gift, but we are not using that greatest gift for the highest purpose for which this body is meant for. This body is kind of like a boat which can carry us from this material existence to spiritual existence. But the point is, we are not using this body for that purpose, then we are a miser. So that's what Prabhupada says in the purport, that Narada Muni, even though a mere child, did not waste time for a single moment with economic development, and he passed through the towns and valleys and things, but he didn't stop to get attached or involved into them. He knows his goal, and he wants to go steadfastly into that goal. And Prabhupada says that he continually went on to progressive spiritual emancipation. So he wants to progress further in his goal, and he is steadfast, and he is full focused. And one point we can say, so that this is the same we can say in we come across in Bhagavad Gita, ekike kuru nandana, right? Vyavasatmika buddhir ekike kuru nandana. Those who are this path are actually one resolute. They have one resolution that okay, we didn't know about all this knowledge, all this spiritual world. There is a supreme Lord, and we are his servants. But at least we now know. So let me be one pointed. Let me focus my energies at one pointed way, and then let me progress further. When it comes to energy, we have to be very careful. Our body is also. It's not like we are the same energy. I mean, if I see my son, he can play for hours together with the same energy. And I don't think I will be able to do at this point. So that means our energy is very limited. So we need to utilize our resources, both our body and whatever Krishna gave us in our for us to manage. We need to see how we can utilize it to the best possible way, so that we can attain the highest goal. Okay, so this way he was passing over, and then a lot of things he was passing over, like reservoirs full of mountains full of reservoirs of various minerals, which the mountain has gold, silver, copper. And then he was going through a lot of water reservoirs, and it has beautiful flowers, and all those beautiful places and things he was crossing and over, and he is moving. And then he also these are all very nice places, right? Then he says he also crossed over the forests of rushes, forests which contains bamboos, reeds, short grass, weeds, all those things which are difficult to go through. So Prabhupada says in the purport that a Mandikan or Parivrajaka has to experience, that means a wandering Mandikan has to experience both the good and the bad. He is not supposed to, this place is good, this is nice, very nice water facility, nice fruit flowers, and there, so I could settle here. So that is not the mentality of Parivrajaka Acharya. He actually wanders in all the places. He takes all the situation as the same, and then he moves forward in only one search of in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In search of the Lord and his devotional service, he just wanders to serve more. So that is his mood. And then Prabhupada says in the purport that by doing that, he gains faith in the God and also strength of mind, and it also gives him an opportunity to enlighten the inhabitants of those places. So if he just stays in one place, only those part of the people will get enlightened, but when he moves around, he can enlighten a lot. So further in the purport, he says that it is for our Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a good example of this Parivrajaka Acharya. He went all over India, all the part, whether it is good or bad, is the desert, he went through the jungle, right? In all the places he went, and he shared the true love of Godhead. So Prabhupada says he's a good example of a Parivrajaka Acharya. So after that, he was going through all, and then he also get exhausted sometimes, and he gets some fruits and water, and he has it. So this way his movement, his journey happens. And then he goes off, and then he travels, and at one point, then he thinks he might have come into some kind of nice place or something to meditate, and then he just sits, and then he tries to remember all the previous instructions from the sages, what he got in the previous 4 months or 5 months before. So he was trying to meditate on all those nice devotional instructions and the points. And since he was serving those sadhus, and also it was mentioned that he was having the remnants of those sadhus. So whenever when we have the remnants from those pure devotees, actually that totally destroys all the sins we would have accumulated over time. So this also progressed, or we can say speeded, or we can say sped the spiritual advancement of Narada Muni. So by these kind of eating the remnants and also serving these Vaishnavas nicely, he was almost, he has gone through different, he was advancing the advances. He has advanced in bhakti very much further. And he was in the state of kind of like a bhava. So when it comes to stage of devotional service, we know that there are like 9 stages. That's everything starts from Shraddha, right? So I just wanted to share those 9 stages maybe. Shraddha, so we just meet a devotee, and then we come to get a small faith about Krishna, and then when we have some faith, then we do the sadhu sangha. So sadhu sangha is the very key essence, I would say, from whatever I read from our Narada Muni's pastime. Sadhu sangha is a turning point, so we should be very eager. Our Vaisheshika Prabhu says that when these sadhu sangha, then there is a program, or then some senior devotees or Vaishnavas are coming, it's like a rain. So we should go and collect those rain. Wherever it is raining, we should go and take it. So that way, sadhu sangha is important. And then from the sadhu sangha, we get the instruction of the sadhus to do some devotional service. Then the stage is called bhajana kriya. We start to do some devotional service, and when we do the devotional service according to the instructions and avoiding the offenses, then the anartha nivritti happens, and it is also gradual. It will slow, but it will happen. So we should have the faith and keep moving. And once anartha nivritti happens, then comes nishtha, steadiness. So when there is anartha, you will be agitated. You will keep on, will derailed from your set schedule or whatnot. So once your anartha nivritti is gone, then you don't have much anarthas to derail you. Then you will be fixed up in your devotion. That's why they say some devotees they are fixed up. That means they're fixed in their devotion service, and they do it steadily, day after day, year after year. So that is the nishtha. And when you do any activity, not even devotional, any activity which is done routinely, you will get some taste. Even if you see our regular our work we do, some things we do regularly over and over and over and again, we get some taste from this doing. So in the same way, in devotion service, the taste even doubles or triples. That's what the ruchi stage is. And from ruchi then comes asakti. That means attachment to the Lord and the devotional service. And next to asakti is the bhava, which is the love, which is one stage below than prema, which is pure love. So in this verse, when he was meditating on this transcendental personality of Godhead, when the personality of Godhead, Narada Muni was meditating. The verse says that he was kind of bhava, and he was actually having like he was a pure devotee. At the point, he was a pure love. So Narada Muni was totally having reached a very advanced level of devotional service, and he was kind of he was also exhibiting some kind of devotional ecstasy. So there are like 8 kind of devotional ecstasies available. They are like becoming stunned, perspiring, standing of the hairs of the body, and faltering of the voice, trembling of the body, changing bodily colors, shedding tears, and devastation. So I think here we see that he was actually crying. So shedding tears is one of the ecstasies, 8 ecstasies of devotional service. And devastation means, I would remember Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who will kind of devastated, thinking that he was separated from Krishna. He's always in love of separation from the Lord. He was feeling always separation from the Lord. So that is kind of a devastation. So these are all the ecstatic symptoms. So as Narada Muni was meditating, and he was having the symptoms, these are some points which I just wanted to share some points regarding which touches these two. Recently I was hearing from a senior Vaishnava, and he was saying that even during Prabhupada time also, association was so important. He was saying, like, whenever he says that, whenever he heard from pure devotee like Prabhupada, he could see that his heart was melting. He could see all his internal desires changing. So he said that vibration from a pure devotee has a very different effect, potent, than just any other sound, so we have to make it our some plan or some, at least some desire within our heart to see how we can get this kind of an association, and if we have the association, how we can utilize it. Maybe we have people around, but still our heart might have not changed. That means we are not associating with them properly. We should see how we can improve that. There is nothing is problem, nothing is gonna say it's not anything bad about it, whatever the situation wherever we currently, but we should know where we are, and then we should see how we can go to the next step. So that's what I want to share. And also the senior Vaishnava was also sharing about Sagajya and Prakrita Sagajya. So in this verse, we are seeing that we saw some symptoms, right? Like, for example, shedding tears and hair standing on end and trembling. So what happens is that these are a normal reaction for someone who has a pure love. These are the ecstatic symptoms which come automatically for someone who has a pure love. But so this is called as Sahajya. But if someone who doesn't have the pure love, but he is trying to imitate it, it's called Prakrita Sagajya. So we have to be very careful if we come across people. We have to actually discriminate. Is a real sadhu or he's trying to imitate? So we have to be careful, and that's why we need to read Prabhupada books and associate with the Prabhupada books more. Then Prabhupada has given everything in his book, and that will give us a more guidance on how to handle. And we can also take guidance from senior Vaishnavas to see how we can deal in how we can differentiate between all the different degrees of devotees we have. And then as our Narada Muni was contemplating on this, it was said in the verses that he was so ecstatic that his each and every senses were enlivened, and they were actually separately enlivened, and they were serving the Lord. Like, I can't get it what it really means, because it's something only a person who has gone through those phases might understand maybe. So he was in the top ecstasy because he was meditating on the Lord, and he was able to see the Lord face to face. So when he's meditated and when he saw the Lord face to face, he got all the ecstatic symptoms, and also he was all the senses were totally became separately enlivened at one point, since he was seeing, and suddenly he's on top of ecstasy, and he stopped seeing himself, and also he couldn't see the Lord. So he came to that point, and the whole process of devotion service is to associate with the Lord, to be in his as a servant of the servant, and also to go back to his place to serve. Or if devotees even don't want to do that, they want to come back again, and also to deliver all the fallen souls, and whatever may be the thing. But the game is to see the Lord or to serve the Lord to the full extent. And Narada Muni, in his previous life, he achieved it. He has saw the Lord, and he was almost like he was about to interact, and suddenly he's lost the vision of the Lord. So it is as if like you are as if like someone in the Olympic 100-meter race is trying to run, and Olympic happens. We know that every 4 years, right? So the people struggle for 4 years so hard for that one. I think it's just less than I think. I don't know the whole duration of the race, but I will say like, very, very short duration. They spend like 4 years struggling hard. It's a similar way for us too. We are struggling hard so that at the end of the life, we could, pass this test. So this Olympic people, if, for example, you say he's struggled for 4 years and he has did a very good practice, and he was running, and he was supposed to run, and then he was about to reach the end, and suddenly the end line disappears. How do we feel? What happened? I couldn't see end line, and we see that other people are going, and then he feels so despondent, right? So in the same way, Narada Muni felt that he was almost reached the God, and he saw the God, but he couldn't see him anymore. So, and further, in the next verses, Prabhupada also he says that in the couple of verses, he says he's tried to do the same process again Like, we say in a devotion service, we have, Vidhi, right? We have the rules and regulations, right? Vaidhi Marga and I think Vaidhi Marga and Raganaga Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti, Raganaga Bhakti. Like Vaidhi Bhakti, we have the Yama, Niyama, we have all the instructions to do and not do. So when we follow all these instructions, and we feel that at the end we have some result, right? So everyone does it. We do always for something we obtain at the end. That's why we do all those things, whatever we undertake in our life. So, right. So in the same way, our Narada Muni was almost, he saw the Lord, but at the end he couldn't hold that image of the Lord, and he couldn't have the association more. So he was so despondent, and he tried to do all those devotional practices, mechanical, all those devotional practices he was trying to do again and again, and then he was trying even harder and harder to see he could get the glimpse of the Lord, but he couldn't actually get it. So for this, actually, it is said that if you see in Ranganatha temple in Sri Rangam, there are 3 gates, and at the end there is the door of the Sri Ranganatha altar, right? It says that we need to pass through all the doors of the Sri Ranganatha temple. At the end, for passing through all the doors, you need to push the door to open, or no, we need to pull the door outside to open. So it is our effort to cross those 3 doors. We need to pull open first door, pull open second door, pull open third door. Then when you go into the altar, that altar door you cannot pull open. It has to be opened from inside. So Prabhupada says in this purport that whatever we might effort we put, we have to do our effort. We have to do our due diligence in our bhakti. We have to do our sadhana, everything. But it is only the Lord is actually not obliged, even though he's a well-wisher and a friend. He will be obliged. He will do our. He will be satisfying our requests and demands, whatever we put. But it may not. It is still under his intervention, under his will, when to show darshan, or when to give the mercy, or when to shower all whatever blessings we are asking in our devotional life, right? So as the last door of Ranganath temple can open only from inside, the same way the Lord's mercy is only up to his own volition, right? As we see in Damodar Leela, the 2-finger shot, right? We have to have our own desire, our own determination and endeavor has to be there, and also we need to have Lord's mercy, and that no one can over say, or no one can put an authority on Lord. It is from his own volition. So that is what Narada Muni was, Prabhupada says in the purport, that it's only by Lord's mercy we can do it, just not by, this many hours I chanted, this many rounds I chanted. Especially even that sadhu senior Vaishnavas whom I heard, I said previously, that senior Vaishnava also said it doesn't matter how many rounds, and we have to do, as Prabhupada said, all those niyama we have to follow, but still it is actually by the mercy of a pure Vaishnava's aura and his transcendental sound from his mouth that changes the heart. That is very important. And the same way here, as Lord also says, I am not happy with someone who directly worships me. I'm so happy to see someone who is worshipping my devotee very nicely. So in the same way, Lord has its own volition to where to, when to give or bless some Vaishnava. So and the final verse of this session is that Lord, seeing his, as I said, right, it's Lord's volition. So Lord saw Narada Muni was trying very, very frantically, or not frantically, very, very hardly is trying to get the same darshan by doing the devotion service, but he couldn't find the Lord's vision. So he was so discouraged and so despondent. So to alleviate him, he just he saw some sound which is a transcendental sound from the Lord, where he was saying that he could see Lord speaking to him. And he was actually at least pacified a bit, that at least he could get some reciprocation from the Lord. So I think these are the verses for this session. And till now, what happened is that Narada Muni, we saw Vyasadeva was despondent that he was not satisfied, and then he was wanted to know what is the reason, and then his guru came, Narada Muni came, and Narada Muni was explaining that he had to do the devotional services, he has to write the literature on more glorifying the Lord, and then after that he was explaining how he his life. And then Vyasadeva was asking a lot of questions, and he was intrigued, like how did he get perfected in his previous life. And so we saw a lot of instances of what happened in Narada Muni's life, and how he saw the Lord by the mercy of the previous devotees' instructions and their blessings. And finally, he couldn't hold that image of the Lord, and he became despondent. And finally, he got some reciprocation from the Lord. So we, at this point, this is where we stop. And maybe is there any questions or at this point?
Hare Krishna, Kartik, Chandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
I'm visually, I'm audibly, and I'm physically stunned. That was one of the best classes and most amazing classes I've ever heard. It's so long, so much that I was just planning today. I don't know if it's the Dwadasi day. I don't know if I'm just feeling it today, but I was just planning to listen, to hear the class, and then there was so much nectar coming out. I just started pulling out my phone and taking notes. It was so amazing, Prabhu. Thank you.
It's just only one thing, Prabhu. I just want to add, because the senior Prabhuji said, which I heard. Actually, Sagajiya is also comes under when we read Prabhupada books. When we don't read Prabhupada books and we say, and that Prabhuji said, that is also kind of a Prakriti Sagajiya, because we don't get the essence or Siddhanta from Prabhupada, then we put our own mental things. So to say what you were saying, whatever I said is actually from Prabhupada book. Whatever was there, just I noted. So all things goes to Prabhupada. So.
And thank you for presenting it so authentically. That's the true key of a speaker. It's not that we make up something or something. Radha Maharaj says this. Radha Maharaj, he reads Prabhupada's books for 45 hours a day. Still, wow. After 45 years or something like that. Someone asked him, what keeps you going? You probably have read the Bhagavad. He still reads one chapter of Bhagavad Gita a day. So someone asked him, what keeps you going?
Prabhu, reality is I am not regularly, I'm not reading Prabhuji, but I wanted to improve. So that's why, by taking a service, I could do something. So.
Yeah, when Radha Maharaj was asked, he said, that it's because people have come to give their attention to me for 1 hour. So let me use that one. I don't want to cheat them for 1 hour.
Yes.
I want to give them an honest presentation of what the acharyas are saying. So I know you're saying that out of your humility, but I know it's
because of your blessings, I could read, mercy, we could read the Bhagavatam. I could at least, because we want to say, you need to say the background, the things. So thankful for that, Prabhuji.
I have a lot of points, but at first I want to open up the floor to everybody else. Any questions or comments or thoughts or anything else? Anybody would like to unmute themselves? They may go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I want to say, whenever I hear the story of Narada Muni and the loss of his mother, I like to realize that, I didn't grow up with my mom. I grew up with my sisters and my dad. It's not because she passed away. It's just because of divorce, things like that. But I like to think that, when one is appreciative of the things they have in front of them, they never look at the things that they feel they lost, because nobody ever loses much. When Krishna removes something from our lives, we gain twice as much when we look forward, So whenever I hear that story of Narada Muni, I get excited myself, because I'm just like, hey, you know what? Like, I could have turned out a way worse person, but Krishna gave me 6 sisters instead of just one mother being around, So I look at things a lot differently, as opposed to a person that, had 1, 2 parents around. I had 7 parents. So you did a wonderful, recollection of that past time as well.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And you sung very well too. Say, Prem Sidhu Das got some competition. I was listening to you. I was like,
Thank you, Prabhu.
To this point, Prabhu, I also thought, in this point of the mother, I was thinking, that I read these prayers of Kunti and Gajendra and the the gopis and all these different prayers from different devotees. I'm thinking, maybe I'm on their level, maybe I'm getting there, slowly. I'm anartha nivriti, I'm getting there. But as soon as someone says detachment,
you are there, Prabhu.
Okay, because attachment to mother is just so much, and then I today I could really realize how great Narada Muni is, just when the association with those Bhaktivedantas for such a short period of time. I think it was a matter of just a month, for that time. And then he took that association so seriously. When his mother passed away, he was bereft for a second, but then immediately, my life is meant for something higher,
Exactly.
So that was an amazing point. And I could really
I think every one of us, Prabhuji, without a devotee intervening in our life, I don't think we'll be not here. I would have been in Saturday somewhere else. Everyone here, I think everyone can relate to that, And for Narada Muni, maybe, depends on his own advancement. So he got, totally fired up. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Does anybody else have any other thoughts, questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So I just want to say thank you, and second what Hari Prabhu just said, that it was really one of the best talks. It was so nicely constructed, the entire the flow, and also I really appreciate that you bringing in all the verses, references from the Shastra, from Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it was very, very nice, very nice. A lot of things resonated, and we had some discussions recently, and I was just chatting with Hari about that. That how you addressed them so nicely today. So very well presented and prepared class, Prabhuji. It's we at least I am really excited, for next time that you serve Srimad Bhagavatam class again. So
all your blessings, Prabhuji. But I also really thank, because without this service, I would have not have gone through, right? So it's all mercy of the Vaishnavas. That's what I would say. Thank you, Prabhu.
Jai. And that's your humility that adds more to this class. So thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Abhishek Prabhu, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was having one question, Prabhuji. Yeah, first of all, thanks to you for wonderful class and having you back in Columbus, even though remotely.
I'm happy, Prabhuji. I would feel like as if we are now in Columbus with you all. So
so we'll be glad to have more of your association.
Sure, Prabhuji.
So I have this curiosity about the spiritual sense. Prabhupada is talking many times in many purports, like, and you were describing that there are different 8 ecstasies that one experience, but then there are some mundane ecstasies one might feel at the initial stage. So, can you just tell more about what is the spiritual senses and how, or it's all transcendental, like we cannot, no one can.
Okay. Sure, Prabhu. First and foremost, I have not been that level, so I can just only paraphrase or repeat what I heard or what I read. So first thing is, when you come to Krishna consciousness for the first time, Prabhu, we are mostly in material world, right? So we've been always immersed for millions of lifetimes, right? So that means when we come to Krishna consciousness, we might, get that initial sweetness or happiness. That is not ecstasy, you can say. That is actually kind of a incentive from the Lord for you to begin the process. For example, in our India, during our Britishers' time, we didn't have tea or coffee at the time when Britishers came to India. But what they did is, in order to induce people, they gave free sample of tea packets or coffee packet or whatnot. So then afterwards, now we know when you go to India, every town, village, we see tea shop, coffee shop, right? So, but the initial some incentive has to be given, right? So I understand that whatever incentive, whatever ecstasy, whatever feeling or something, it might be due to that incentive what Krishna is giving the devotee for him to take the process of bhakti. The shraddha, right? The faith, right? First point, right? For that you need to get something you have to see tangibly, right? Otherwise, if someone says this is giving you, someone is giving $10,000 in this lottery or something, you need to see that there is a lottery company, they're advertising, there's someone is getting the lottery, they are giving some every week, some releasing the names of people. So we see something, so we get faith, right? So when we have, so in that way, Lord also gives you some kind of initial happiness or sweetness or thing in devotional service. His Holiness Jayapadak Swami Maharaj says that even that happens to a very, very neophyte starting devotee also, because it's the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. So is that what you're asking, or am I saying the right thing? Or
yeah, I mean, I was more trying to know about like what is the spiritual senses like that we hear. So
okay.
I understand. I'm not talking about like ecstasy. I'm not feeling anything.
Okay.
Yeah. So like we hear in many purports, like Prabhupada is keeps talking about, and here is even in the previous purport, he was saying like spiritual health. So spiritual health is like more focused on Krishna consciousness, and but like what are the symptoms? Like spiritual senses is just based on because he Narada was saying like he could feel that Lord sitting in his heart, and then he just disappeared. And then he tried to feel he tried to know the same again, like then he can actually hear the sound of Lord. So then how it is like sitting in, that means he cannot see that, but he can feel. It seems like
yeah. So you're saying that how his Narada Muni is able to see the Lord, and also how Narada Muni is able to hear them, right? Hear those words from the Lord, right? At the last verse, 10, 6:10, right? 20, right?
Yeah, I think he's not able to see. I think because that is a little confusing here. Is if he actually seeing initially, or he's later he says that because later he gets the darshan. So first of all, he seems to be just sitting in the heart. He's feeling for something.
Yeah, okay. So from my understanding is that Narada Muni was seeing internally, maybe, I mean, we can say spiritual senses, we can say. See, for example, this body has its senses, right? So this senses, like, for example, cloth, shirt, it is covers, when you put it, it has its own hands, it has everything, right? Like the shoulders and thing, but, but it is covering the real hands, right? The same way, our body is actually a covering of a soul, right? Spirit soul. It also has spiritual senses. Like, I mean, I didn't really realize those things, but from my understanding is it also has a spiritual senses, like, eyes, ears, whatnot. But that get revealed or it get, exposed the more you progress in spiritual life. Right? But it's not my understanding. So if you see in this verse 20, Prabhupada clearly says that in the Vedas, it is said that God is beyond approach of mundane words and intelligence. Okay, and yet by his causeless mercy, one can have suitable senses to hear him or speak to him. Right? If you see in the verse 6:20, Prabhupada clearly says, by his causeless mercy, by Lord's mercy, your spiritual senses become awakened. Especially since Narada Muni is almost in I think he is in the prema stage only. Maybe our Hari Prabhu or someone can correct me. Like, he is Bhava and he is into prema stage. That means he's totally, purified in the ecstatic stage. So at that time, all his spiritual senses will be, kind of activated, and, he can see the Lord. For example, in one pastime of Ramanacharya, his servant by name Kuresh, right? His servant, he was actually, he lost his eyes in the service of his guru, our Ramanacharya, right? But when Ramanacharya, he can, at the time, they can even talk to Sri Ranganath. Like, we were talking in the conference. They can talk to Sri Ranganath in the temple altar. So at that time, our Ramanacharya is asking Kuresh, please ask me, please get the benediction to get your eyes back. But he says that, no, I don't want eyes back, but I just want to see the form of the Lord alone. I don't want to see anything else in the material world, just the form of the Lord. Then I think Ramanacharya asks this prediction, and then Lord grants it. So Kuresh can see only the Lord's form. So how that is possible? Maybe it's like the spiritual eyes been awakened like that. In the same way here, his eyes and ears been awakened so that he could experience this. Lord can reveal himself gradually so that the person can have more and more attachment. Like, for example, for a person who both of them are in love, right? They want to see each other. First, if just a person comes and then he just goes away, then he'll go around. He'll know to say. He will be at the back of the other person. Where he's gone, right? The same way, Narada Muni, he just saw his love, but suddenly he's gone from his spiritual eyes, maybe. Okay, so from my understanding is all these are present, but they are not active currently. But when we grow up in spiritual life and we advance, those get more the senses get more liberated, and then we can experience more of spiritual nature. It's my understanding. Maybe Hari Prabhu or someone or the call can correct or
simply put, that this, if you talk about senses, our senses are used to dull matter. Like our eyes are looking at computers, our tongues are used to eating meat and all these other unoffered foods, so you can even simply, you can see, that, okay, you go get a burger from McDonald's, okay, you eat that, you see how you feel, versus you go get some prasadam from a temple, which has been consciously prepared and all this. You can see an affecting consciousness. And this may be a very dull example, but this is the simplest way that it can be seen. That but still, Mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite, that Krishna only that prasadam, if you treat it as regular food, it might just be accepted as regular food. He'll reciprocate according to your surrender. So in that sense, I'm not trying to take away from the transcendental prasadam, but in that sense, you have to have the right consciousness and mood, and in reciprocation with that, your senses will be purified to be able to see Krishna's reciprocation. This is what I understood from that question, if that's okay.
Yeah, that made sense. Yeah, thank you, Kartika.
Prabhuji, so we can also read this purport, once again, it'll address everything, maybe, in addition to the points. Can I read it so that you can also...
What sloka is it? I can maybe...
Prabhu, 1:620, last sloka.
20, okay, got it.
Okay. In the Vedas, it is said that God is beyond the approach of mundane words and intelligence, and yet by his causeless mercy, one can have suitable senses to hear him or speak to him. This is the Lord's inconceivable energy. One upon whom his mercy is bestowed can hear him. The Lord was much pleased with Narada Muni, and therefore the necessary strength was invested in him so that he could hear the Lord. Right? So here, Lord clearly says, it is not, however, possible for others to perceive directly the touch of the Lord during the probationary stage of regulatory devotional service. It was a special gift for Narada. When he heard the pleasing words of the Lord, the feelings of separation were to some extent mitigated. So it says that Lord's mercy, we could get those sensory perceptions.
Yeah, that answered that clearly.
Yeah.
Prabhu, I have one. Does anybody else have one more, any points? Because I would like to say something as well. Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to say? Yes, then I can go ahead. That I really liked your. I actually wrote down. You'll never believe. I wrote down Kurish.
Yes,
when you were mentioning, I don't think you mentioned before that during your class I was thinking, okay, Kurish. That Kurish. If nobody knows the story of Kurish, that there's an acharya named Ramanujacharya, and Ramanujacharya was being attacked. He was going to be attacked by a king, right? A king was coming to kill him.
Yes, Prabhu.
And then Quraysh said, "Okay, give me your clothes, so the king will think you are me." So he gave him his clothes, and then Quraysh went and dressed up as Ramanujacharya. And what this king did is kind of tortured him, thinking it was Ramanujacharya, and plucked his eyes and made him blind, And then I think Quraysh comes back and then to Ramanujacharya, and then he says, Ramanujacharya is like, "Why did you do this? Why did you do this?" And Radha Maharaj, he says this amazingly. He says that the perfection of a disciple is to think is for the spiritual master to use his disciple like an instrument,
Wonderful.
to become an instrument of my spiritual master is the perfection of my body. It is actually not my body. It's the guru's body. The guru has given me this spiritual body. So it's not my body. So you use it however you want. And Ramanujacharya actually touches his eyes and gives him his eyes back. After he's been punctured. So
okay.
That's
same, Prabhu. I think I heard the same lecture, but I didn't. I don't remember after that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he gets his eyes back. So I really like that point. And another point that I found was that that you were mentioning that to become to take association is what changes. We take association, and my dad always says told me something that in the Madhva tradition, we come from our sampradaya is Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, but we are originally from the Madhva mathas established by Madhvacharya. And Madhvacharya, in the Madhvacharya line, there's a tradition. I don't know if it's in Shastra, but it's in the tradition that when you leave the temple or you leave the Sangha, you should sit outside the Sangha for at least 4 to 5 minutes. And you should think, what has changed in my life? We just get in we get our prasadam boxes, we get in our car and boom, we go to the back home and we sleep. But we should sit outside and we should think, what has changed? What am I going to change in my life? And, and I was bringing that point of that Gauranga Prabhu, last time he visited New Vrindaban, he Mamekam Sharanam Braja, that Braja means movement, So like in that verse 1866, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Braja, it's that Braja means movement. So to become a Braja Vasi, to become a resident of Vrindavan, of Krishna's abode, one, it's not just to live in Vrindavan and put on Babaji clothes and just sit in one place, but our Brajavasi is to move one's desires to Krishna's desires. So that's what he was explaining. So I thought
nice point, Prabhu.
That was amazing. And I also wanted to bring up how you were saying that spiritual life goes in stages, and someone sent me this verse, and I've never even heard of this verse. So and I guarantee a lot of devotees have not. Let me just share my screen. I'll show this to you. This is in the Brahma Samhita. Not in the we just read the Chintama Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. We read those verses, but there are many verses outside of those. And text 59, you can read this. Does anybody want to read the translation of this?
The highest devotion is attained by slow degrees by the method of constant endeavor for self-realization with the help of scriptural evidence, theistic conduct, and perseverance in practice. Very nice.
Very nice, right? And I'll just read the purport real quick.
Sure,
this purport is by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Evidence, the devotional scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Vedas, the Puranas, the Gita, etc. Theistic conduct, the conduct of pious persons, sadhus, who are pure devotees, and the conduct of those pious persons who practice devotion to Godhead actuated by spontaneous love. Practice, to learn about the 10 basic principles, Dasha Mula from the Shastras, and on receiving the name of Hari as laid down in the same embodying the name, form, qualities, and activity of the divinity. To practice the chanting, I guess those were just definitions of those words. This is the proper purport. To practice the chanting of the name by serving him day and night and day. By this are meant study of the Shastras and association with the sadhus. The tenfold offense to holy name ceases by serving the name of Hari and simultaneously practicing pious conduct. Practice is no other than following the mode of service of the name practiced by sadhus without offense. By perseverance in such practice and devotion, characterized by love, which is the fruit of spiritual endeavor, makes her appearance in the pure essence of the soul. Now, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's English is very complicated, but what he's kind of saying is that practice with perseverance, as this, when we use conduct and perseverance and practice, it'll happen in slow degrees. As you were saying Kartik Chandra Prabhu, that these slow degrees are not that, okay, we only chant one round for so long. Sachinanda Maharaj always used to say, the biggest problem in the movement is that there's too much chanting and there's not enough contemplating. We have to think why we're doing it. How are we going to get better? If we keep what's the phrase? If you keep doing the same thing wrong, that's called insanity.
Correct.
What do
and
we have?
And we try to have a different result. I don't think we get it right. So
yeah, that's the phrase, right? If you do the same thing with expecting a different result, that is called insanity. So I thought that's
Prabhu, thanks for bringing Sachinanda Maharaj's name. Actually, I was a little bit got an opportunity to read the Living Name book. From
Prabhu,
there only Ranganath Temple.
Prabhu, guess what I have right next to me. I was going to show this to you right
now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was about to say that. So that's where I got Ranganath Temple's analogy. So it was so nice, and maybe devotees, if get a chance, we should read it.
Yeah, this is the picture. If everybody can see that, the first gate, the second gate, and then the third gate. The first gate, how he says is the chanting is that the first gate is the body, is make your body right, sit in a right posture and pronounce the mantra right, and then the mind, the mind.
Sorry to interrupt, but can you unshare so that your
oops, sorry.
Okay,
can you see this?
Yes, now it's visible.
Yeah, so this is the body is the first gate, making your chanting, the pronunciation, the posture, and all these things. And second is the mind, control the mind's thoughts. That's by reading and meditating upon the Lord. But the third, that is Krishna. That is Krishna's prerogative. He opens that one, So as Kartik Chandra Prabhu was saying, and he gives a thing about how to open the third gate. And he was saying, it's the revelation comes from Krishna out of his great mercy. We just have to wait, but we have to do what we can do. We can't force, Krishna have done everything. Open the Gorbachev, tear down this wall,
Yeah.
We have to.
And also, Prabhu, sometimes this also happens in our devotee life. Sometimes we don't take impetus, everything Krishna takes care, so I don't need to do anything. So for this, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, in one of the things, so many times he said this thing. When he wanted to started to share some lecture, he was given some instructions. So he says at the end of the 10 some points, he said the last point is depend on Krishna. But in the bracket, they said that the Prabhu who gave the instruction, but the bracket, he says, after you have done your part. So in life, that is very important, Prabhuji. I mean, at least personally, I have gone through. Sometimes, some tasks are difficult. He said, oh, okay, it's, Krishna will take care. I will do my chanting and, that's okay. We procrastinate. But I think that's also irresponsibility because task is given by Krishna. So we have to see how best we should do that. for his pleasure. So that is the attitude, that switch in the consciousness maybe. Yeah, sorry, Prabhu. I just wanted to interrupt on that.
That's such a good point, Prabhu. There's just so many nice points from this class. I really like that just made me that I'm just being a little cheeky, that I really like that there's not like too many people in this class today. Like on YouTube there might have been, and it's recorded in history for long, but I really like that it was a small group of people and we could really delve into it deep. I like Shrestha Maji's here, Kartik Prabhu, Ramesh Prabhu, Janish Prabhu, Abhishek Prabhu, Alec Prabhu, Bhakta Andy Prabhu, and so many. I think Chandra Prabhu is watching from YouTube, and so I really like that it was a small number of people and we could really delve into the Bhagavatam. I don't think I have any more points. Oh yeah, one more thing. I was hearing His Holiness Banu Swami Maharaj from ISKCON Chennai. He was giving a class about initiation, about Diksha, and what our acharyas say about this word Diksha. Some people say Diksha is second initiation, as we call it. When we get the Gayatri mantra, when we get the Gauranga mantra, and we chant those. And some people, and Jiva Goswami, according to him, gives a very liberal interpretation of Diksha, in the sense that one who follows the principles laid down by the spiritual master, even though not formally initiated, is considered initiated in the process of bhakti. One who firmly takes shelter in the instructions of the spiritual master. But he also says, but one who is resistant to the formal initiation, he is not firmly dedicated to the principles. So I found that very interesting. You brought up initiation, that taking the initiative.
Actually, Prabhupada also says that one word. So I thought I should emphasize that. And the one senior sadhu we gave a class here, so he was emphasizing that point. So I just thought maybe we should.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Sometimes I just like to hear myself talk for a long time.
No, Prabhuji, you are adding more better, what to say, information and enlightenment. So thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare, where'd you get that book? The book that you were showing with the three gates in it.
Name. I got it in New Vrindaban. Have you been to New Vrindaban, Bhakta Andy? Oh, you're frozen.
I won't be going until July. I won't be going until July.
Oh, you won't be going.
I'm going in July.
You're going.
I can ask Prem, because Prem's supposed to be going next month. He'll be going next month. In a couple weeks.
Kartik, Chandra Prabhu, do they have these in the bookshop?
Actually, that's what Prabhu was about. I was checking online because I didn't see here, but I can double check. But I just checked online. Looks like Krishna.com has it.
I think this is an essential book. I had to borrow it, and it's in scarcity in Columbus. So I really recommend this book. If you are want to improve your japa and want to get out of that mechanical phase, not that I've gotten out of it, but this has really helped me connecting with my japa. I really like it. So yeah, Alec Prabhu has given the link of.
I also put the same. Okay, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Two thing. Repetition of a good thing is a good thing.
Yeah.
But great. This is a really successful Bhagavatam Sangha, in my opinion. Even though we went a little bit over time, I really enjoyed everything. So
overall, yeah, it was great. The bhajan was incredible. It was about
very nice, very nice song.
Discussions.
It's a good start to our morning. So thank you so much, Kartik Chandra Prabhu, for coming and serving the Bhagavatam class this Saturday. We are eternally grateful, and our only complaint is that you should come again. we have to come in. You have to come in.
So are all your blessings and mercy that I could read and do something. So yeah, Prabhuji, whatever.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. And the next Saturday we have His Grace Madhusudana Vishnu Prabhu, all the way from Mira Road, Mumbai. He's another great soul. He teaches. I connected him through. I'm in his WhatsApp group about memorizing Bhagavad Gita shlokas, and he has agreed to give a class next Saturday. So we will look forward to that with anticipation and fervor. Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, so I was just about to say, like, see, these are all put in our channel, like ISKCON Columbus. Okay. So I was thinking, let's know, sometimes I have some other thing going on, or the kids, I don't know, is able to attend it live, but at least.
Everything is put onto our YouTube channel.
Okay.
It's recorded and put onto our YouTube channel immediately. It's being live streamed right now.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Then I will attend at least
Of
through
course.
the recorded ones.
The recordings, that they also have some spiritual potency. So thank you so much. We will end with the Vaishnava Pranam mantra. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. His Grace
Jai.
Chandra Prabhu ki
Jai.
jai.
ISKCON devotees, Columbus devotees ki jai. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai. Give 3 big Hari Bols.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari
Hari
Haribo.
Bol. Hari
Haribo.
Bol. So Prabhupada